Hey guys, it's Alam. Today, I am just going to be sharing with you guys some more discoveries that I've made in the Bedrock Edition Far Lands. Now, to start things off, I will explain why the Far Lands don't generate on the in the negative direction, in the other direction. And so, without further ado, let's head to HTTP negative 12,550,800, 100, and then 1. There. So this will put us near the Far Lands in the other direction on the x-axis, and this is in an ocean biome already, so it doesn't really support my case out all too well. But you can see right here how the seafloor just drops off into bedrock. That is actually the result of terrain generation failing entirely. And oh, there's a Badlands biome over here. There. So this is basically a blank map, and it's flooded because all blocks below 63 are flooded. And what happens is that in the positive directions, the integer part of the noise coordinate reaches 2,147,483,647, and then just gets stuck there. Can't go any higher because the way it handles overflow is actually by snapping back to the closest representable value, which in that case is 2,147,483,647. Now, what then happens is that the increment spills over into the fraction part of the noise coordinate, which is used in interpolation. And I just dropped down there. Anyway, which is used in interpolation. And the numbers in interpolation become extremely large, which gives the Far Lands their shape. And this actually causes the Far Lands to begin to decay and fall apart about a bit more than 9,000 blocks in on this version of the game, as the numbers in the interpolation begin to approach the 32-bit floating point hard limit of about 3.40282 times 10 to the 38th in magnitude. There's actually not one number involved in interpolation. Oh, hey, there's some coral here, by the way. There's actually not one number involved in interpolation, but 5 actually, at least on the x-axis. And each stage of the degrading that I showed in the Fringelands video that I made a while back corresponds to another equation falling apart. The main equation that the game uses is 6x to the 5th minus 15x to the 4th plus 10x cubed. But now the part and this is multiplied by x, 2x, 3x, and 4x. However, it's only multiplied by x and 2x on the z-axis. But now the part you're waiting for, which is why the Far Lands don't generate in the other direction like you see here. That's because on the negative axis, on the other hand, the integer part of the noise coordinate reaches negative 2,147,483,648. But when the floating point value used to calculate the remainder for interpolation, and the floating point value, which includes the fraction part, is subtracted. Or actually, no, it's not the floating point number that's subtracted. It's actually the integer value that's subtracted from the floating point to get the fraction. The game actually decrements the integer by 1, and to ensure that it is always greater than the fraction. And however, in the negative axes, this does not decrement the value of the integer by 1. It actually wraps us all the way around to the other side of the 32-bit number line at 2,147,483,647. Now, yet the floating point number is still decreasing, getting deeper and deeper into the negatives. So the fraction right away starts at negative 2 to the 32, or negative 4.295 billion. And if you recall my explanation of the end of terrain generation before, only a fraction of value of about 35.5 million was enough to cause terrain generation to fail entirely. So now that's done, let's next head to something I forgot to show in last week's video, which is the Corner Skygrid Lands. Now I can't actually show you guys the 2D lands because watch this. Because watch this. If I try to teleport to around where the 2D lands would be, watch this. The game is just going to put me back at 30 million. And if you're watching, you would notice that I actually put in a number close to where the 2D lands will begin. So this is actually where I was messing around previously. And look, and notice when I place a block right on top of this ice here, it's actually going to look like a brick slab. Can I place another one on top? It's actually going to look more like a cube. And yeah, so let's place an emerald block here. Look at this, emerald slabs. Imagine if this could exist normally. And notice, and the polar bears over there are all falling through the ice. I guess the world couldn't not fall to them only at 2:24. Anyway, now that we are in the Corner Skygrid Lands, I'm gonna have to use a light tread and really move around. There is actually a village over here. Oh, I just flew past it. Actually, no. Look how messed up this tundra village is. And there is an iceberg over there too. There. Now I'm moving. Actually, it's not an iceberg. Actually, it's a pillager outpost. I thought it was an iceberg because it was generating the frozen ocean biomes, and those still generate this far out. Let's see how the torch model will look. And don't worry about that. Anyway, look at this. The torch actually doesn't render at all. Yet you can still see the flame. And the pillager banners are actually still rendering normally. Anyway, next, let's head to /TP. 12,562,277. 100. 12,562,277. So yeah, there. So you actually see here that the sky grid does end at this point along the x-axis. And this is actually all 1.16.201 material, as the newer patches don't generate the sky grid in the overworld anymore, for whatever reason. I'm guessing maybe just the game reacts differently to the single precision floating point overflow on the z-axis. Because the every 4-block artifacts in the Fringe Lands were not generating anymore on the x-axis, but they were on the z-axis in the patch that still generates Skygrid. Anyway, you'll see that the Skygrid comes to a stop right around here. And this is actually the last location that I showed in the Fringe Lands video that I made a while back. However, let's now head back to 101. And there is another very interesting discovery I made in the Far Lands on here, and I'm actually gonna show it in the end because I found it in the end. It happens in the Nether too, and presumably in the Overworld too, in the prior patches. So let's jump into the end portal here, and let's get ourselves out of here. All right, there. Let's first head to 12,550,800. I meant to say let's head to. Something about that. And anyway, 100 negative 12,550,800. And that's put it in there. So you're actually gonna see that while one edge Far Lands, the positive X generates just like the regular end Far Lands. The negative Z one is actually a sky grid, and that's for the same reason I explained earlier, with the negative axes and the fraction starting much higher than normally does. And this is actually why that stack artifact, that artifact that looks like the stack quickly degrading and falling apart at the beginning of the Corner Far Lands, in the positive X and Z axes, actually doesn't generate here. It's just a sky grid from the beginning. Now, and it actually is pretty flat up here. Wow. Only flatter terrain I've seen is the Corner Farver Lands in Java. But if I head to /TP, 12,550,821. I'm just going to use that, 100. 12,758,546. You're actually going to find that there is Skygrid all around me, not just on the net, not just to the west, not just to my west, like that way. But my coordinate on the x-axis right now, is actually greater than 12,550,817, which is the starting point of the end Far Lands. And my z-coordinate is greater than 12,758,546, and I'm still seeing the Skygrid generate. And in fact, the Skygrid seen here will keep going until x-coordinate 12,561,025. It's slightly different in the end, actually, than in the overworld nether, where it's 29. No, not 25. Anyway, but if I teleport to 12,555,000, using that, just so you know, my x-coordinate is greater than 12,550,821. So we are in the corner Far Lands. And then 16,777,200. You are still going to see the Skygrid, although it's considerably thinner by this point. And in general, in the end Skygrid, the blocks are actually only every 8 on the x and z axes, but every 4 on the y. That's actually because the interpolation intervals are switched in the end. So this whole strip of the Skygrid and corner Far Lands actually goes on forever along the z-axis. And if I teleport to 12,561,029, 12,561,029, 100, 16,077,200. You're actually going to see hardly any Skygrid material left. Oh, there is some over here. Actually, that's on the z-axis, not the x-axis. So yeah, you can see this strip of the Skygrid ends right here. 12,561,024 really in the end, because the noise is only sampled every 8 blocks in the end. And I can't sprint fly, of course, because I'm very far out on the other axis. And look at the chorus plants out here, by the way, and that's actually in the stripe lands. So basically, this happens in the Nether too, but I'm showing it in the end because I found it here. And of course the torch is still invisible, even not even in the corner stripe lands. So yeah. Pretty much. Other than that, guys, that's pretty much all I've got for today. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, and click on the bell and hit all to get all notifications. And goodbye.